Hello and welcome everyone for another engaging episode here at CIO Talk with Riaz. This is Riaz Yusuf. I'm a Chief Information Officer and your host. I'm thrilled to have with us a returning guest, Feng Hou, who is the Chief Information Officer at St. Louis Community College. I'm sure those of you who are following my podcast would recognize Feng was the very first guest on my podcast interview. And at that time, Fong shared his knowledge and experience about blockchain. And today, we have another interesting topic to discuss with Fong. Before we get to the topic, I would like to officially welcome Fong back to this podcast. Welcome back, Fong. If you don't mind, could you go ahead and briefly introduce yourself for my audience?
Sure. And thank you, first of all, Riaz, for inviting me to your podcast again. And I was honored to be your first guest, and I'm honored today again to join you in discussing some of the very interesting and you probably would agree also timely kind of topics about how really advanced technology can impact and transform education. So thanks for your kind words. And again, my name is Feng Hou. I'm the current CIO at the St. Louis Community College in the great city of St. Louis in Missouri. And I'm looking forward to discussing any of the topics that you would like to engage me into.
Great, thank you, Fong. Today, I'd like to focus our conversation on a topic that is not just in that's not just popular in IT. This is the interesting thing, right? If you take blockchain or another technology, those topics were hot topics within IT. But if you go to general public, they don't necessarily understand what those concepts are. Big data is another example. But this one, which is artificial intelligence, has been very popular, not just within IT, but amongst general public as well. So which is what I'd like to focus the conversation today. As a starter, I know, Fong, you have published an article about generative AI. Can you tell us about that article, and summarize what the content for the benefit of my audience?
Absolutely. And, as you certainly know this very well as I do, that in our recent history, that there have been only two technologies. Of course, other exciting technologies such as big data and others, have caught our attention, but two technologies that really have taken the world, by storm. And the first one was in the blockchain, right? And of course, it was in some kind of form of a cryptocurrency, along with the time when the Bitcoin was first released, and then the subsequent technologies, a whole slew of technologies that all are running on a blockchain, such as the NFTs, the metaverse, the Web3, and the DAOs, decentralized autonomous organization, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the second technology that is still, pretty much, really drawing everybody's attention right now is the artificial intelligence, and specifically it's the generative AI that started with the release of ChatGPT. Now it's been almost a couple of years ago. So the reason that these two technologies are fascinating is because that they both actually, really address some of the fundamental elements in our lives. And so of course, last time when I was on your podcast, I talked about the blockchain, and now we're talking about the AI. And with the, every day, the emerging capabilities and the power that AI has demonstrated. And one area, of course, is about the trust or the reliability of the data sources that the AI large language models have been trained on. So that is the role that I believe that the blockchain can play to provide that immutable, reliable, and verifiable data for the AI to generate that kind of insights and intelligence, and to help, certainly in our field, that's education, to help our students learn and the teachers teach and so forth. So I'm definitely very excited, and would get into any of the details. And of course, I do want to mention, thank you for bringing this up, that recently I wrote an article that specifically talking about that blockchain and AI, that these are the fundamental two technologies that I believe that can really shape the future of education. And I can get into any of the details, as we continue.
Perfect. And I agree with you. Those two powerful technologies can bring in a compounding effect for the organization, right? So we don't want to miss out the strength of those two technologies. So I would like to dig deeper into what you touched on, Fong. So what kind of data challenges does generative AI pose to its users?
Absolutely. And the first is what everybody, after that exciting moment, that when we first saw how powerful that ChatGPT can, almost generate any responses that appear to be very intelligent, helpful. Until then, we started learning, and actually, in my case, I have even regenerated those hallucination, right? And that is when a large language model, uh, when it doesn't know the answer, and it behaves, it's sometimes like maybe human beings, and it started making up the answers. And there have been reported that even some of the attorneys use those uh, fake report generated by AI in a court that got caught. That was one of the extreme, of course, cases that shows that the seriousness of that problem. And then later, we also, as we continue experimenting with AI, we also found that just like any other large data sets, that when we use, inevitably that it has its inherent bias, right? And so it can generate some kind of, it's really just opinions about it. It's stated as fact about a certain kind of, events, or historical events, or the current events. And that was very quickly identified. And then we, because the history of data sometimes, just pick language, for example, that during a certain period of time, when certain vocabularies, certain words were acceptable, and which have now since been pretty much deemed as very kind of harmful and negative. And then as a society, we no longer accept those words in our vocabularies. But however, when those data, the historical data, was used to train, the large language model, and then those AI models and then would take those and without understanding the history and and then the perspective, the progressiveness of those views, and so then ended up generate the answers that may still contain those biased views. So I'm just using these two as an example, just to show that that these are the inherent kind of at least the negative, the drawbacks for even today, the current large language model for AI. And of course, there have been tremendous amount of efforts put in place and trying to bring the AI model up to reduce the hallucination, as well as trying to have a more balanced response about certain questions to avoid those bias and so it's still a work in progress. And in that sense, once again, that one of the ways we can deal with those issues is by really using the more reliable and immutable and verifiable data. And of course, that I'm hoping is what the researchers as well as the developers of AI will be focusing on.
Got it. So that's helpful, Feng. Thank you for elaborating it. I would like to dig deeper into a couple of things you mentioned and how blockchain could help in that scenario. For example, you mentioned one of the challenges with AI is it doesn't know when it doesn't have the right data, it starts to make up the data or information for the end user. So in that example, how do you think a blockchain could help prevent that from happening?
Yeah, first and foremost is really the quality of data, right? I mean, and also the extensiveness of the coverage. Obviously, there's no guarantee that AI can know every answer or all the answers to every question that the entire world as the audience, and so it has its limit. But however, and nevertheless, that the effort should be taken by how can we then extend our coverage and research to get to those data and in its accurate form and verifiable, and leveraging the blockchain technology, and then prevent it from prevent the data from being really alternated, being changed and modified. And that is the immutability of the blockchain, and using, of course, its underlying logic as a distributed ledger solution. So, we just want to make sure that number one, that the AI models will have that kind of coverage of reliable and verifiable data, so it can provide responses with confidence that these are the accurate data. And as going back to how can we prevent the hallucination of AI models, and then that is also on the AI services vendors and the developers, and then maybe just train the AI to be honest, that when they don't know something, and you know, they should just tell the users to say, you know, they're not knowledgeable about certain things, and instead of trying to make up some things just to provide an answer to its users. I think it's getting better now. Major AI vendors such as OpenAI has now claimed in its latest model, GPT-4 Turbo, and has significantly improved that kind of AI ability, and reduced the hallucination by a significant percentage number.
Got it. So are you saying that blockchain technology could help AI or could help to train AI in a manner that we want it to behave? So
Yeah.
how does it work then?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit more on how the technology would work?
Yes, absolutely. Just to give you one example, this is recently, and I, to help my daughter apply for the colleges, and I need to get my finance record all kind of, you know, organized, and then to fill up those kind of finance forms, FAFSA, and I believe CSS, those forms. And so while I was trying to organize, and because those forms ask some very specific questions, and then I have to really get to my previous year's tax return and all of the other document, and then to identify those kind of you know, areas so that I can provide the correct answer, right? And then, so while I was doing that, I said, of course, this is our personal financial record, and that needs to be protected. But however, if we would have a personalized AI agent that we can train this agent with our personal data, and of course, I'm talking about only the numbers, not necessarily the identity, those kind of thing. So, you know, but then when you have that, the data source that is the real record and the trusted the source, and in this case is my previous year's tax returns, and then you can trust that whatever the AI that can help get me the answers is, number one, is accurate, and number two, that the AI will also cite the source where it finds those numbers, and then you can actually go back to verify if you want to. But however, then that you know, you would think that okay, right now, let's just say that I have to go to, of course, my hard drive of my computer at home, or some cloud, and how safe are those you know, storage devices, and what about if I just stored it on the blockchain, and because it's you know, distributed, decentralized, so it's without the hash, and you know, the of course the you know, cryptographic keys, the public keys, private key match, and then other people can hardly get to the data. So then it's protected, and it's also accurate, and it's immutable. It cannot be changed because the data is online, and it's verifiable, right? So these are all the characteristics of blockchain. And so then whatever the AI that can generate those responses, and then it gives the users that level of confidence, and knowing that these are the accurate data and are not something that AI has made up.
That's an interesting use case. Kudos to you for leveraging AI something like that. I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing. Did you use one of these public AIs for your data gathering purposes, or did you go ahead and purchase something like GPT-4 Turbo?
We use both, and actually, St. Louis Community College has been partnering with Google as well, leveraging Google's Gemini and the AI power. And as I think I shared that uh, in that the group meeting, and uh, so with this right now, it's really a great time for certainly the uh, learners, as the students and instructors and administrators in our higher education to experiment. And since there are just so many AI tools that we can play with, as you mentioned, public AIs, and even the public AI, you have Microsoft and Google have publicly announced that they will protect their AI users' data, protect the privacy, and would stand by their AI generated answers. And just as this morning, I was talking with our partner at Google, and again, that this is one area that we partnered with Google because they take their customers' data security and the privacy and very seriously, and they just don't share any of the data with anybody, and except that their customers, right? I mean, who are using those AI services. So certainly, we as the IT leaders and data security is top of our responsibilities, and we take it constantly as a top concern. Having said that, you know, there are public AI tools, and there are individual AI tools. There are cloud-based AI tools, and mobile or desktop, and there are a whole slew of AI applications, and it's really up to us. For example, at the St. Louis Community College, I just want to share that with you. We have established an IT governance structure, and many of our faculty members are really, very enthusiastic about how we can use AI tools to help our student enhance the student learning and our teaching as well. But at the same time, we are also taking the step to address some of those concerns about the academic integrity and plagiarism, cheating, those kind of things. So we are building the guardrails, right? And making sure that on one hand, we are telling our students what is the best way to use those AI tools, but at the same time, we also have the guardrails to protect the academic integrity.
Got it. Great. Speaking of that, Feng, what are some of your policy recommendations in regards to students potentially using AI for their schoolwork?
Well, at any higher education institutions, that academic integrity is our trademark, and so this is nothing really new, and we want make sure that our students really are learning, are gaining the knowledge and the developing the skills that they need to develop to become, constructive and uh, productive citizens, right? And so it's also the higher education's mission that we educate our students. So in that sense, that many, if not all, of those policies to protect the academic integrity and should apply in this AI world, and such as uh, uh, preventing any cheating, plagiarism, and the homework, questions, essays, and don't go the AI side and let AI write essays and just copy and paste, right? And of course, that would also behoove our instructors to redesign some of those homeworks and to make sure that not only will they ask a student to write about certain things, but later also to find out how they learn it, and making sure that student can express their learning journey to get to the point of how. So there are some very effective ways that we can apply to prevent plagiarism and the cheating. So back to your question about the policy, and again, we focus on the academic integrity policy that have been long well established, and then we are talking about adding maybe some nuances and then some of the new changes that's primarily affected by this new advanced technology. And we, for example, that this is not in our policy per se, but however that I've heard some schools to say during their final exams they just take the students all of the electronic devices away, right? So you cannot get access to a computer or your smartphones, and so that you don't have any access to any AI tools and so on. So
That's one way to
it's
accomplish it.
it's in a work in progress. It's in a journey, but we're hoping though that uh, the policy itself is to protect our academic integrity, but at the same time we don't want to prohibit our students from using and then taking advantage of this new and exciting technology, generative AI, right? Because we are training the future workforces, and when they go to join the society, join the workforce, and very likely these are the AI tools are what they're going to use, and so we want to make sure that they are also well prepared and to take on those kind of a new challenges and responsibilities.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. What are your thoughts, Feng, in regards to AI, using AI by IT teams? Are there any usage of AI that you would recommend for IT teams to take advantage of this technology?
Oh, we are doing that right now. Collaboration, right? And Microsoft has released its Copilot for Windows 365, and we're embracing that, and we're starting some kind of a pilot program to identify the key people, not just the people from IT, people throughout our college, to run the pilot based on what their job needs are, and some of that is the collaboration among different groups of people and how effective that is going to be. And just to give you one example, that in the future, that we can actually create an AI as a part of the team, right? In higher education, for example, that sometimes we run into, this is particularly true during the past a few years when the pandemic first ended, then there was this, what was called the Great Resignation, right? And so it has created some shortages and for community college IT teams and other teams as well. So while this is not trying to, it's important that I state that, while it is not trying to replace anybody's jobs, but however, whenever we feel this shortage, it can be any roles that we can define, and then we can incorporate AI to be a team member, right? And then to join whatever the collaborations, and then so this AI will either listen to, since now we have the voice activated AI capability, or text-based, and then somebody just can feed this AI the collaborative questions and send it to this AI agent, and then to get the instantaneous, right? We don't have to wait. So it's not like you call some remote help desk and send them a text message, or you wait. And this is instantaneous. You get the knowledge back. And of course, this goes back again to how well that the AI agent has been trained, and either the answers are accurate and not something that AI just made up. But fortunately, there are local kind of large language models that we can use our local knowledge to train, as I mentioned earlier. And a good example of that is that St. Louis Community College has a history of over 60 years, right? So over the 60 years, our board has passed many different board policies, and also that each administration over the past 60 years has also created what we call it as administrative procedures to correspondent to the board policy, and then to implement the board policy. And over this time period of 60 years, inevitably there have been some inconsistency, and even possibly some contradictions. So then one of our initiatives is to get our board policies over the past 60 years and our administrative procedures to use that data to train our AI agent, and then just simply ask the AI agent to identify any kind of inconsistencies, even possibly if any contradictions, and cite a source. And then this used to be something like somebody has to conduct those research, right? It's very time consuming, and also it's hard to spot. And now we have somebody who can just work on it behind the scene. So these are all kind of team work effort that can help our institutions.
Okay, very well said. Thanks, Feng. What about chatbots? I know a lot of organizations have started using chatbots, and what do you think role of AI in improving these chatbots?
Well, the history of chatbots, of course, there's just some very lack of a better term, there was some very dumb chatbot, right? I mean, basically, it started from just somebody sent a text message in, and that's how it started, the chat box, and then somebody behind the scene just take the message as a means of communication. And then later, as AI got a little bit smarter, we developed what is called the narrow AI, and we started to train AI by developing what is called the knowledge articles. And those knowledge articles are whatever the contents, the responses that a human would give, and based on certain keywords, and then embed in that is the web links and all that. So then for a long time, that chatbot was used to provide users not only just an input, but also it can generate instantaneous output. But that output was based on the knowledge articles. And then there has been a great limitations of how many knowledge articles that you can develop. And normally you look at what is the top most frequently asked user ask questions, maybe
Yep.
top 10, 20, or 50.
FAQs. Yep.
And then you build the knowledge articles based on that. But knowledge article itself is not a dynamic. So some of that, as time moves, it can get outdated. So nowadays, with the generative AI, you can just simply create a link. And as I mentioned to you earlier, right? And excuse me, for example, that if we would have any of the web-based content publicly accessible, but now a visitor comes to our website would have to try to locate, search, keyword search, and identify those information by the user, him or herself. Now, if we trained this, AI, and then we can not only provide the user with the answers that she or he is looking for, but also build some kind of intelligence and to provide some of the recommendations and based on the user's inquiries, right?
Yeah, perfect. That'll be a great usage of AI in chatbots. Wonderful. Feng, I know you're going to facilitate a discussion around artificial intelligence at the League for Innovation Conference in Anaheim, California. Could you tell us about that discussion that's coming up that you're going to facilitate?
Yes, actually, it's a presentation, and
Okay.
what I will share with at this conference with the audience is really about how can we leverage the generative AI to help the freshman college students who have some challenges in keeping up with some of the entrance level college education or college courses. And this is something generally now being categorically called as the developmental education, right? And essentially what it is that those students who may have some challenges taking the college entry level math classes, either it's going to be, algebra or possibly even calculus. And so then the colleges in higher education, they all offer some assistance to those students to help them overcome those challenges. However, those assistance, the resources can be limited. Certainly it's not 24/7. And also that it's not on the spot. as those of us know that the best learning can occur when the students can get the correct answers right when the learner has that challenge or question, right? And so you got answers right on. And so in that kind of, within that context, and then everything, it becomes relatively easier for the learner to understand. So then AI and can really be very handy. It's 24/7. It can create a personalized learning environment, and then that AI tool, whichever that the learner chooses to use, and can be a personalized assistant to that learner. And for example, if that the learning needs is in math, and then we can define the AI tool to be a math tutor, and we can even specialize that the AI tool to be not only a math teacher, tutor, but also specializing in algebra, in calculus, and at what level it can get to the very granular level. And then if the learner needs to switch, and after he or she completes that part of the study and moving on to the next subject, and the next subject can be history. And then the same AI agent can be then redefined as a history tutor and specialized in the Civil War or in the independent war of the United States or Europe and Asia. And so that can come very handy. And so it's just utilizing AI as a personalized assistant to help students learn. And that's essentially what I'm going to talk about at the League for Innovation Conference.
I see. So do you think the technology is already there to tutor students in that manner?
Yes, and it's just like when the internet first came, right? And there were limited applications, and gradually we started seeing some killer apps like certainly the email, the web, and then started getting on to the e-commerce and then all that. So I believe that the generative AI is following that similar kind of a pattern, but is moving way much faster, right? And believe it or not, the internet has been around for almost 40 years now. So, or if you counted ARPANET, that's over 40 years. So, and we're still using the internet today, and we're conducting this podcast on the internet. And but with the generative AI, that it just needs to be further defined, refined, and then to get to the that stage, then it becomes a very convenient tool. So, for example, many people talk about the AI prompt engineering, and then how the prompt engineers making over $300,000 a year. And that's all great, but however, that's not something that regular people can use or take advantage of the tool. The tool is a tool. The tool is there. So if someone can really build all this comprehensive prompts and then create a very simple interface for the users, so they can simply just with a click, and then behind the scene, the prompts gets put into the AI, and then it getting what the users need, and that will be really revolutionary. So we already have a great. I'm not even talking about the kind of GPT-5 or AGI. That's the artificial general intelligence. And I'm just simply talking about what we have now, ChatGPT 3.5, and GPT-4, GPT-4 Turbo or Plus, and then you have the Google's Gemini and Google's Bard, and then Microsoft the New Bean, and so on and so forth. There are many generative AI tools are out there. Just pick one that you like, right? I mean, some of them are paid. You have to pay a monthly fee, but there are also many that are completely free that you can use.
Perfect. Wonderful, Fang. Before I let you go, I'd like to ask you, what business book or books do you recommend for my audience?
Haha. Recently, this is not a new book, and recently I just got into this book published by Peter Thiel, and who is the founder of of Twitter, I believe, or no, but he published a book, 0 to 1, right? And it's a co-founder of PayPal. I'm sorry, not a Twitter.
Yes.
And he's also one of the early investors of Facebook. Really, it got into my head that basically, and the book is talking about the innovation, technology, and then entrepreneurship. And we have been talking about higher education transformation for decades, right? And one of the reasons, and nowadays, and many people believe that there are some kind of challenges, if not outright problems that exist today within higher education, is because systematically it's just outdated model, and then how education leaders need to adopt this kind of entrepreneur mindset, right? And then how to leverage new and advanced technologies and to help improve our student learning, cut down the costs, and make education, to serve a broader audience, and so on. So this book is definitely one that I would recommend. And for example, in the book, that one of the interesting quote I even just it says that every moment in business happens only once, and the next Bill Gates will not build an operating system. The next Larry Page or Sergey Brin won't make a search engine, and the next Mark Zuckerberg won't create a social network. If you are copying these guys, you aren't learning from them. So, so for higher education, the idea that I'm getting is then that yes, we have tried numerous ideas and trying to improve education, but to this day, our good old Carnegie kind of system is still permeates throughout the entire higher education. So we got to have that kind of courage and to try something new. And of course, we discussed all these tools such as blockchain and generative AI, and they offered really great opportunities for education leaders to try.
Wonderful. Thanks, Fang. I had the pleasure of reading that book, 0 to 1.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting and valuable book, I would say.
Yeah.
Question, where can my audience find more about you?
Well, probably the easiest way they can always find me on LinkedIn, and just Feng Hou, Fenghou, search by my name, they will find me there. And again, I currently work at the St. Louis Community College. So my email is also my name, Feng Hou, F-E-N-G-H-O-U, at stlcc.edu.
Thank you, Feng. Appreciate that generous information. It's been a pleasure, Feng. It's always been a pleasure talking to you during this podcast and outside the podcast and other events as well. You are an interesting person with a lot of creative ideas and very generous in sharing them as well. So I really appreciate your time today in talking with me, talking to my audience through this podcast. I'm sure my audience would have benefited as much as I did as well. Thank you for your time.
Well, and again, thank you for having me.